From July 5th, 2020 to September 18th, 2020, one deranged user on a Web 2.0 bulletin board powered by Simple Machines forum software went on a painstaking odyssey to watch a television show.
So, I'm finally at the point where I've witnessed every single entertainment property in the world. Every story has been told to me except for one that the weebs and crossover prestige TV watchers alike will sing praises of. I'm about to journey into watching the Japanime known as Neon Genesis Evangelion. I have never seen anything from this series before. The most I have experienced of it was playing the pachinko slot machine for about 20 hellish minutes, but that's another story. The main motivation for viewing this series, however, stems from my desire to fully understand this beautiful video. Anyway, without further ado, here are my thoughts as I view the series. I'll try to keep an open mind, but I'm pretty cynical when I see cynical content. So, this is the power of a completely paint-by-numbers show. As I dig down into the series, I really want to learn why it is praised in such regards. The first 2 episodes do not answer this at all. The first thing I've noticed about this critical darling is it's already got a handful of titty and ass shots. Not that I'm complaining, I'm super straight and bone holes irregardless of dimensionality. I guess this is par for the course, but also a bit saddening that genre tropes have basically become well-deserved stereotypes for the medium as a whole. The show starts off with a fairly bland lead getting put into a giant robot that I must stress is very much too cool for school, so he can fight another giant robot demon that is called an angel. Is this ironic naming, foreshadowing that our heroes are the actual bad guys? At this point, I'm not sure if the show is even smart enough to pull off that basic level of narrative depth between the TNA and epic Penguin of Doom character. At the end of these first 2 episodes, my favorite thing is the theme song. It is fire as heck even all these years later, and I don't see myself skipping it a single time. The person who remixed the Taco Guy knew what was up. I also have a strong feeling of comfort when viewing 4x3 animus, and I'm glad Netflix/Gainax didn't try to foist some chopped and skewed version that messes up everything to cater towards widescreen televisions. Also, the color scheme and sound effects are pretty cool. Story is very silly. Character I most want to have relations with, Misato Katsuragi.
Animes for perverts. Please continue this for the next 248 episodes.
After setting up a real damp rag of a protagonist in the first 2 episodes, we're finally getting somewhere with main man Shinji. He's meek. His schoolmates don't like him as he pilots the thing, but then he pilots the thing and saves them. Not much happened in episode 3. It'll be very disappointing if every episodic battle is ended by Shinji ass-pulling out yet another super cool weapon that was designed to be punched out of a 1/44th model kit mold. If they end the series on one of these, then I'm just writing off the entire damn nation of Japan. Positives from episode 3. I'm appreciating how the aliens are big fans of coating everything in silicone dildo purple. Maybe the Covenant from Halo got fashion tips from them. As for waifu baiting, I have to give props to Ayanami Rei here, who beat Haruhi Suzumiya to the punch of looking out the window wistfully. Perhaps she will be able to usurp my own personal 2D god Haruhi from the seminal throne. Time will tell. Still looking forward to when that bitch Soryu Asuka Langley shows up. They've been really keeping her under wraps. Not so much of a hint to her existence yet as far as I know. It's like in that mediocre Better Call Saul sequel called Breaking Bad, where we had to suffer through an entire Saul-less season before meeting the actual best character. Episode 4 actually has some feels to it, despite marking the point where the animation budget went from really blow the audience's socks to we gotta animate 19 more minutes of this and it's already Friday afternoon. Such is the way of 24 plus episode series, I suppose. I wish I was being a cynical dingus, but there's literally a 20-second still frame in this episode among other cheapo animation tricks. Also overheard in this episode is the exposition line, "We must entrust the piloting of our EVAs to 14-year-olds. We have no other choice." There better be a good reason for this other than 14 being the show's target demographic. We shall see, but I am guessing there will not, and it's just an excuse to be stupid and pandering to horny boys in their early teens. Overall, episode 4 is probably the most enjoyable so far due to the explicit lack of giant robots fighting. Character I most want to have relations with, Misato Katsuragi.
I rewatched Evangelion recently, I think just before it came out on Netflix, for the first time since I was 13, rebuild movies notwithstanding. I was filled with apprehension, worried that it wouldn't live up to what I nostalgically remembered, but it really does stand on its own, even compared to the rebuild movies which, unlike the show, have bottomless budgets and timelines. I think the original comes out ahead. Despite predating digital animation, CG, etc., comparing them purely on technical terms, the story of Rebuild is hot garbage. To be honest, I didn't like the show much when I first saw it on Adult Swim. I was mostly interested in the giant robot fights. All the psychodrama poo-poo held no interest for me. I loved End of Evangelion visually, but the message went completely over my head. I watched End of Eva again toward the end of college, though, when I was definitely at the apex of my hermit lifestyle, and the nadir of my life overall. And it was like a slap in the face. It's definitely a guided message, and I think you have to be in the right place and time to receive it, or it's just gonna sound like pretentious nonsense.
It is indeed a terrifying prospect to go back and evaluate something that really defined oneself as a dumb teen, but from the perspective of a slightly less dumb adult. I'm glad the franchise as a whole held up for you, and some elements seem to have even sweetened with the wisdom gleaned from your advanced age. Bet y'all thought I was done with this series, but I've just been busy. Tired as hell, and my PS Triple just got repaired, so I've been wasting the midnight hours with that instead of watching stuff. Went on a bit of a bender tonight, and for me, 4 24-ish minute episodes is indeed a binge. I seem to have a recessive gene for whatever one causes predisposition to binge watching in others. I gotta say, I don't know if it was the break or my mood, but I was actually vibing a bit more with these episodes. 5 was a bit of a technobabble episode, but the fight in 6 actually used the characters to solve the fight. It wasn't overtly clever, and Rei and Shinji are still both huge bores, but at least they're doing stuff and working together. Episodes 7 and 8, on the other hand, were some of the most enjoyable for me so far. They had big Masato slice-of-life moments, which are easily my favorite parts. The epic Penguin of Doom gag doesn't even bother me anymore. Also of importance is that episode 8 finally introduced Asuka or Langley or whatever. I don't know what name I'm supposed to use to refer to her casually. At first impression though, why would anyone choose Rei over Asuka as their waifu? The choice is clear, the blue-haired CPR dummy that is Rei has got to go. There were also a few more glimpses of throwaway Christian symbolism thrown in. I'm still betting these will lead nowhere, and it has just been a case of the director thinking that crosses equals cool and deep. Looking forward to doing some episodes on the morrow. Character I most want to have relations with, Misato Katsuragi.
Does the show make you horny?
Well, it took until 10 episodes in until the first inflation scene of Shoryuken Asuka Langstaff. I'm sure this one scene alone awakened a certain something in a whole lot of DeviantArt users. Other than that standout bit, they've really amped up the more traditional fan service in the show, which I'm okay with. They've also tossed Rei to the side, but not quite the dumpster where she belongs. I'm also okay with this, but unfortunately that probably means I'm going to have to suffer a handful of boring Rei-centric sods in the future. I'm wondering if this show will pull some Betty Veronica nonsense. I guess in my heart, I know it will. I also have a feeling that main dude Shinji will choose neither, as the internet rumors alluding to his homosexuality are looking to be almost certainly true. There's been a lot more talk in the show of dumb backstory, which I've never been a fan of. Stuff like 15 years ago and subtle allusions to my past that fluster up all the characters. I'm sure the payoff there will be quite whelming. Character I most want to have relations with, Misato Katsuragi. Well, now all three of the main pilots, No Nuts Shinji, Rei, and Asuka, are all getting some nearly even exposure. It's an alright dynamic, I guess. As for the formula of the show requiring one angel attack and dismantling per episode, I feel like they're getting somewhat uninspired in their creature designs. Every new angel just looks like some random Bauhaus painting. Maybe that means they're overly inspired, I don't know. It also doesn't seem like great designs for selling heaps of toys and models. Seriously, try to identify the alien design from Evangelion out of the 3 above images. Other than that, the show is slinking along, I guess. I'm not even halfway through, and I'm feeling the length of 26 episodes. This is why I'm immune to binging. Oh, also, they teasing some of that 15 years ago BS. The Second Impact, Revengeance. Character I most want to have relations with, Misato Katsuragi. Episode 13 was just a bunch of technobabble and hacking action. If you thought stiff giant robot action scenes weren't enough to get your blood pumping, then maybe people typing in front of flashing computer screens will do the trick. It did not for me. Episode 14 is a recap clip show episode, End Me. Also, the other thing I forgot to bitch about regarding anime, and especially this anime, enough with the fetching cicada sound effects. Every time it's a summer scene, we get it, it's summer, there's cicadas. This show really overdoes it. Also, we get to see a static image of Le Epic Folded Fingers Man from multiple angles for pure minutes of static screen time. Bang up animation job, chaps. I would rather be watching my true favorite anime, having sex with a real human female. Character I most want to have relations with? Not watching this show anymore. Okay. After another small tolerance break from this show, I have come back to episode 15 and let me say, wow, it actually brought some intrigue. There's some spy stuff going on, deception, a whole episode without a giant robot fight or really any techno gibberish at all. There was characters. Misato had some feels moments with the stubbly, incarnate dude Roiji after a wedding. If the show is going to continue like this with an actual thought line, then I might actually like it. Episode 16 goes back to the show's roots a little bit with the return of an angel battle. But hey, at least the animation was genuinely cool and there's like deep themes and stuff. Moments of intrigue from the previous episode were still alluded to, so I'm glad those haven't just been tossed away. The secret of the EVAs. They're probably bad, and capital E evil. Also, was it just me, or was episode 16 and this episode alone on Netflix decidedly not remastered? The colors were faded and lines were soft. Everything had that raw 90s texture like I was viewing an old DVD rip. Not complaining, but as a video quality junkie, somewhat confused. Current mood is I'm actually looking forward to viewing more of this Japanimation. Character I most want to have relations with, Misato Katsuragi. So, it was another slideshow exposition dump episode, except half of the episode was just slideshow. Pretty garbage. I guess Sports Guy is the other giant robot pilot, the fourth one, which is significant, because reasons. I really like his personality in that he likes sports, a true character. Episode 18. Yo, the bully character is the pilot of the Neon Televangelist, and his robot suit is black, and he's bad, but maybe not. Maybe Shinji is being tricked. Maybe we're being tricked into thinking this is a good show. Why do the giant robots make dinosaur sounds when they die? Although, to be fair, I did enjoy when Shinji's giant robot suit got put on autopilot and it curb stomped the other dude and the robot eye thing can be seen for one frame. Shinji, I will never pilot an EVA again, Cuckman. 15 minutes later, when the evil angles attack and wreck his useless friends, I must pilot an EVA again, LMAO. What an arc. What a show. Also, what is the point of the plug suits if our boy Shinji just gets in the Evanescence and does a great job piloting it in his normal street clothes? Okay, this episode ends with the robot turning into a werewolf. Whatevs. Episode 20. So I'm pretty sure all the episodes from this point on are a hot 30 minutes all in, instead of the usual 24-minute approximate runtime. Guess everything's gonna be more cinematic from here on out. Episode 21. Yo, here's a bunch of backstory and 30 new super important characters, and it's jumping back and forth between 4 distinct yet close time periods. Every bit of backstory that explains everything is all crammed in here. Episode 22. Oh, it's another angle battle, but this time there's psychological warfare. And it reveals that Asuka was like neglected or something. Okay, this is actually the kind of thing I was hoping for when I set out for this series. Big emotional problems foreshadowed with big logical payoffs in the end. Does she deal with her inner demons to defeat the outer demon of the angel? Nah, her not friend Rei just throws another ass-pull weapon, the Spear of Longinus or some such guff. Even my measured hopes were dashed in this moment. Set up all the emotional character arc stuff and just solve it with tech gibberish, but not only that, but tech gibberish that isn't even hyper cool enough to sell a 1/144th scale plastic pop-out weapon of your favorite Neon Genesis Evangelion Gundam mech. I actually stand corrected on that recent statement that the Spear of Longinus wasn't cool enough to make into a toy. What red-blooded young Japanese or American weeaboo teen could resist the radical styling of this super neat French fry fork? Well, I don't care about doing this series dirty in other ways. I honestly don't feel like I'm even going too far out on a limb here to suggest that this weapon's design is just too goofily identical to the disposable cutlery. Episode 23 may be the most Evangelion-y episode yet. There's plenty of good animation, giant robot fights, nonsensical plot exposition, big reveals that mean nothing, and enough faux deepness to encapsulate a generation of people who don't consider themselves weeaboos but insist that you have to check out this anime. I normally don't watch it, but this one is the one. In short, screw this episode. Rei is a robot, but also the robots are human. Whoa, so crazy. The character that acted like an emotionless robot was a robot, and the robots that cry out in pain and bleed are human? Amazing. Does Dancing with the Stars have more humanity and soul in it? Probably. But no dickhead craft beer pissing married 30-year-olds have recommended that show to me. 3 more dives into the dumpster. I just hope nobody sets it on fire while I'm in there. Confession. I've skipped the intro several times in order to speed up the process of being through this farce. Episode 24. Shinji is gay. Oh, I forget that they introduced these 2001-ass monolith characters that just talk to each other and it sucks. It's a great way to have another nonsense exposition dump while not animating anything at all, so kudos to whoever wrote that cost cutter into the script. Japanese storytelling cliche time. Just keep talking about hope. Don't make it make any sense, just keep dropping that word everywhere and now you've got a plot of biblical relevance. For examples of this, see every JRPG ever made. Guess I should also mention they crammed a new character into this episode. The fifth kid who is like God or something, I don't know. He wants to bone Shinji. At this point, I think some would think I'm just dumping all over the show to upset fans, or I'm some sort of Michael Bay humping ADHD simpleton. Not that Mr. Bay is meritless. But really take a second to appreciate how stupid this show is. Here's a direct quote from a climactic battle in this episode while Ode to Joy blasts in the background. It's an AT field of equal magnitude to the one that constructed the containment field near the terminal dogma. What does any of this mean? This is supposed to be ultra deep, and I know they defined half of these terms, but even knowing what they are, it is still meaningless techno-spiritual babble. Bad episode of a bad show, nothing to see here. And just when I thought it was bad enough, the ending has another long freeze frame set to music that is way more deserving than being stuck here. Which is what I can now recognize as a hallmark of this animation, that it is barely animated. Episode 25 is pseudo-intellectual nonsense completely detached from the previous 24 episodes. What does any of this have to do with anything? I don't care, and I listen to this one mostly rather than watching it mostly on account of I've seen flip books with better animation and read anti-gay, anti-race mixing Bible tracts with more pertinent spiritual questions than this. Last episode, more existential BS. Interesting there's a brief reprieve where the show transitions as a what if to if NGE was actually a romantic comedy anime. I would much rather have watched this show. I get the feeling the geniuses over at Gainax wanted me to be ashamed of preferring this format though. F them. F them and their bad show. Verdict: not good. I'd also like to say, Akira sucks. Thank you.